We are doing problem solving with systems of linear equations, and I have one more example to show you in this video. A car rental company charges based on the number of days the car is rented and the number of miles the car is driven. So how much you have to pay depends on those two things. Lou rented a car for 4 days and drove it 800 miles, and the charge was $340. Stu rented a car for 3 days and drove 500 miles, and it cost $227. Find the daily fee and the mileage charge. Okay, remember we always want to start by thinking, what two things are we trying to find? So here the two things we need to come up with are the daily fee and the mileage charge. So let's set things up with two variables. We can call them X and Y, or we can use other letters to stand for those two things. So how about we use D to stand for the daily fee. So it costs D dollars per day to rent the car. And M stands for the mileage charge. You get charged M dollars per mile. Okay, now we got to come up with the two equations that involve these two variables. Lou rented the car for 4 days and drove it 800 miles. So what he had to pay was 4 times whatever the daily charge was, plus 800 times whatever the mileage charge was. And that came out to $340. So 4D plus 800M equals 340. Can you see what the second equation is? The one about Stu. Hopefully you said 3D plus 500M equals 227. So now we have our system of two equations involving these two variables. And let's see, maybe the easiest way to do this is if we multiply the top equation by 3 to get a 12D here, and then we would want a negative 12D in the other equation. So to get that, we'd have to multiply by negative 4. So I'm going to multiply the top equation by 3. That turns it into 12D plus 2400M equals 1020. And everything in the bottom equation gets multiplied by negative 4, which gives me negative 12D minus 2000M equals negative 908. Now we're going to add the two equations together. The 12D and the negative 12D just add up to 0. The D's get eliminated. The positive 2400M and the minus 2000M add up to positive 400M. And the 1020 and the negative 908 add up to positive 112. So 400M equals 112. Divide both sides of that equation by 400 to go from 400M to just M. And we get M equals, well, 112 divided by 400 comes out as 0.28. Okay, so that's M. And if we take that number for M and plug it in, I use the bottom equation. 3D plus 500 times 0.28 equals 227. Well, 500 times 0.28 just so happens to be 140. So 3D plus 140 equals 227. To finish solving that, subtract 140 from both sides. So 3D equals 87. Divide both sides by 3. We get D equals 29. We have our two numbers. So the answer is that the daily fee, the fee per day that the car is rented, is $29 per day. And the mileage charge, the charge per mile that the car is driven, is 0.28. So $0.28 means 28 cents. 28 cents per mile. Okay, so we've seen some examples of that. Now go try and do some yourself.